Welcome back to Merricks Garage. Today is part 2 of my rollover rebuild. I get to my new fender, my door, some of the steering upgrades I've made, and some rattles that I've been able to track down. I wanted to give an update on what is coming up in the next few months for Merricks Garage. I've got a lot of exciting stuff in the works that I just wanted to bring to you guys' attention. I will have part 3 of my LS swap tutorial, this time delving into wiring, harness, electrical, sensors, all that stuff. I've got some product reviews coming up. Amazingly, people have watched this channel and thought, hey, this guy should review my stuff. And they sent me stuff. So they're not paying me, they're just sending me stuff to review. So you're gonna get honest Merricks Garage reviews. If it sucks, I'll tell you it sucks. I've also got some products coming up from DIY 4x, and you guys asked for it, so it's coming. I've got some product giveaways. DIY 4x has graciously given me some awesome stuff that I am gonna give away. So tune in, subscribe. It's coming up in the next few months. I guarantee you guys are gonna dig it. So inevitably, after rolling your vehicle, you're gonna have some issues, and those have started appearing as I've delved a little bit deeper into what may have happened to my truck after the rollover. Flipping it back and driving it home without hydro-locking the engine, which I'm gonna get to in a minute. But since then, I've been able to get new door, new front quarter, get some steering stuff done, get the glass in, had a lot of success. But that has not come without some setbacks, which we're going to get into a little bit today, namely steering, alignment, and noise and rattles. So one of the first issues I noticed upon rolling the vehicle, apart from the glass and body damage, was the fact that I had a significant pull to the driver's side while driving. The steering wheel had to be at about the 6 o'clock position for me to go down the road straight. This was rather confusing, as when the steering wheel was clocked, the truck would still roll down the street perfectly straight. I assumed that a bent drag link was probably the culprit, but after spending some extensive time under the truck, I've yet to find out exactly what is causing this pull. I've checked my high steer and crossover. My toe on the truck is still perfect. It's dead on. What I have discovered is that my wheelbase on the driver's side is 1 inch shorter than it is on the passenger side. So my axles are no longer perfectly parallel, and that is what I need to address. This could have been caused by anything from a bent frame to bent knuckles to the blocks and spring perches not sitting as flush as they would normally. The alignment can be affected by several things. It can be affected by the steering components. It could be affected by the output shaft and sector shaft on the steering box. It could be affected by the U-bolts coming loose and the top plate shifting. It could be affected by a broken or bent frame. There is a lot of areas for me to check, and as of yet, I have not found the issue. But I'm not giving up, and I expect to find something shortly that will address why I have this pull. I had an initial win when I was able to flip the truck over and drive it home, but I did dodge a bullet that I really want to speak about because I do not want anyone else to make the mistake that I potentially made. Hydro-locking your motor after you have flipped it is a very real possibility. Water is thinner than oil, and when you invert a motor, it's inevitable that you're going to get water that you shouldn't have water, mainly inside the combustion chamber. Water does not compress. So when you crank that motor over, the water is not going to compress inside the combustion chamber. Instead, you're going to bend a bunch of stuff and you're going to basically grenade your motor. So when I flipped my truck over, this was in the forethought of my mind. I decided to let the fluid settle. I gave it about 15 minutes to kind of drain back to where it was supposed to be, and I fired it up. No problems, no issues, no worries. We were gold. That's not to say that I didn't have any water within the oil. I did. I drove it home. Next day or so, I was stuck in traffic for a little bit and my truck started overheating. I didn't even have a windshield at the time. I just wanted to be driving it. But it started overheating and I noticed that I was down about a gallon in coolant, which led me to reason that coolant's probably in my oil. I need to drain the oil here pretty shortly and swap it out. But it is an important lesson to learn that if you are going to flip your car back over and start it up, make sure to pull the plugs and wires and just crank it over and blow that fluid out so you're not stuck with it inside there, bending stuff, breaking stuff, reducing lubrication and things like that. Merricks helpful tip for rolling your truck, part 1.
This is one of the things I just absolutely love about these trucks is you can just pull them apart so easily. This literally took me maybe 20 minutes. Gonna throw the door on right now just to check for fit before I start pulling the guts out of the old one. But I want to show you guys the fenders because this is a good opportunity to show you exactly where I cut and trimmed the front quarter fender to clear the 40s. I've got a stock one and I've got my cut up one. So it's really easy to see the difference. I actually didn't remove as much as I thought I did, but some strategic cuts can give you tons of clearance. So when it comes to trimming the fenders down, you're gonna find that there is 2 parts to the fender. There's an inner and an outer. I made the mistake last time just cutting through both, which left me with very little to tie the outer skin to the inner skin. So I'm gonna try and cut the inner skin away to begin with, and then leave a little bit longer of an overlapping outer skin that will enable me to rivet it into place and hopefully have a more secure fender. We're not really removing that much. You'll see in the previous pictures that it's pretty conservative cut. The fenders themselves eat up a lot of tire. It's just the leading edge and the back edge that catch. So let's take care of it. So I'm gonna have to speak quickly here as technically you're not supposed to bring cameras into this pick and pull, but this is one of the few remaining pick and pulls in my area. They've all moved to this stupid system where you tell them what you're looking for and they go find it and then charge you a ton of money to pull it off the truck. This pick and pull is great in the fact that you can actually go find what you're looking for and remove it, and then they give you an idea of price before you get there. So I am here, I found this XJ that has a steering column coupler with U-joints on either end that I'm going to replace my rag joint with. The rag joint is notoriously problematic in the square bodies. Yes, it helps with dampening and road vibration and things like that, but with hydraulic steering or hydraulic assist and the demands of big tires, they just don't last. And mine has fallen apart and the steering wheel is pulling pretty good.
If there's one thing that I can't stand, it is a truck that rattles and makes noise. And unfortunately, I've been dealing with some problematic noises that I could not trace. I've crawled under the truck and I've checked out everything I could think of. Well, not everything, because I finally found it. I'm going to show you guys where I found the problem, but also show you some areas that I have found that can be notorious for rattles and squeaks and things of that nature. So I got rid of one of my main rattles. It wasn't that big of a deal, but it's gone and I'm happy. It's that Ford shock tower. There are bolts in the frame right there that had come slightly loose, allowing this thing to rattle around. I had shook this thing, I had messed with it. I had done everything I could think of to find these rattles. And the challenge is sometimes it's a heavy part that is not going to be moved when you just rattle it with your hand. So I took a soft blow hammer and whacked on stuff underneath, could not find it. Finally, I saw this and I figured out what it was, tightened it up. I've also had some trouble in the past with these guys coming loose. It doesn't seem like it will be that big of a deal, but 1 or 2 loose bolts in the fender wells can really drive you crazy and be very difficult to track because they can transfer the sound through the frame and make it sound like it's coming from somewhere else. So check those guys out because they're often problematic. And thank you for watching another episode of Merricks Garage. As I mentioned earlier, I've got some really cool stuff coming up for you guys, but thank you for contributing. Thank you for the kind messages. Thank you for all the comments and interaction I've got from you. If you have not checked out my Amazon store, go ahead and hit that link down below. You can go see all the parts that I've used for this build and find me on Instagram and Facebook. Until next time, try not to roll your truck. I think that's gonna be my new tagline. What do you think?